Hello and welcome to another episode of Down to Disness, a monthly series where I pick a Disney animated movie and talk about its history and its impact on pop culture. This month's movie is one that's been highly requested by all of you. It is the 1997 classic Hercules, the first ever Disney movie to be inspired by mythology rather than fairy or folk tales. There's so much to say about Hercules. There's so many famous people who did voices in it. It did new things with music, new things with animation, and of course it's based off of actual Greek mythology. So let's start there and look at the similarities and differences between the Disney movie Hercules and the Greek myth of Hercules, or should I say, Heracles. That's right, Hercules is actually the Roman pronunciation of this god's name, and Heracles is the Greek pronunciation of his name. A huge part of the story of Hercules is that he is a demigod, and it's true, he was a demigod in the Greek myth, but that's mostly because Zeus bedded a human. Hercules is a demigod because he was the son of Zeus and had a mother who was a human. But it's true, in Greek mythology, Zeus was married to Hera, but that didn't stop him from visiting a lot of other women, god and not god, which made Hera very upset. Hera was not nice. She sought vengeance on everybody that Zeus ever went after and their children, which included Heracles. In the beginning of the Disney movie, Hercules is brought down to Earth by Pain and Panic, and two humans come upon them, at which point Pain and Panic turn into snakes. This part of the movie is actually a direct reference to the myth of Heracles because Hera, when she found out about Hercules, sent two snakes to kill him, and Heracles ended up murdering the snakes. Hera does a lot to mess with Heracles, namely she makes him go insane for a short period of time, at which point Heracles murders the two children that he has with Megara. Megara does exist in the Greek myth, but she is not the Meg we know. She's the daughter of the king of Thebes, and she is given to Hercules as a reward for saving the city. Hades, on the other hand, is pretty different from the one we see in the Disney movie because he is not vengeful or after anybody in particular at all. He's just doing his job, and he's rather bored by it, honestly. Those are the main differences between the myth and the movie. There are many more, but those are kind of the big ones that show you just how much the story was changed for the Disney film. But despite the fact that the movie was based off of some rather gruesome Greek myths, it was actually created for the sole intention of bringing a lighter tone to the Disney company. The two movies that came before Hercules were Pocahontas and Hunchback of Notre Dame, both of which received some backlash for being too dark and too scary. So, directors Ron Clements and John Musker, who you of course know as the famous directors of The Little Mermaid, sought out to make Hercules and bring a lighter tone to the Disney movie lineup. A huge part of this, I would say, is the soundtrack to Hercules, which is unlike that of any other Disney movie we know. The decision by Alan Menken to give Hercules an R&B rock gospel soundtrack was genius. He has said that he wanted to use gospel to kind of imbue more meaning into the movie, but generally I think the choice was made to make the whole movie a lot more fun, and it worked. But aside from the amazing soundtrack, there were a lot of other elements that worked towards making Hercules a really fun, lighthearted movie, namely the amount of pop culture references that are in it. Aladdin is really well known for having a lot of pop culture references, but people overlook Hercules in that regard because there are a ton in this movie. During the song I Won't Say I'm in Love, the Muses appear as a set of singing busts, which is a direct reference to the Haunted Mansion both at Disney World and Disneyland. During another scene where Hercules is zipping through the stars, there is a constellation of Marilyn Monroe in the classic stance with her skirt flying up in the air from the 7-Year Itch. When Pain and Panic are groveling to Hades and they turn into worms and they just repeat, "We are worms, we are worms," this is a reference to the movie Wayne's World when they say, "We are not worthy, we are not worthy." And in this famous scene, Phil uses a lion skin to wash off his face, and it is Scar from The Lion King. I'm of the mind that references like this not only give the movie a lighthearted tone, but make it a lot more enjoyable for adults to watch with their kids, which probably contributed to this movie getting better reviews, or just generally a better reception than Pocahontas and Hunchback of Notre Dame. Additionally, a couple of the voice actors on this film definitely served to make some of the characters more light than they would have been originally. namely Hades. Jack Nicholson, Willem Dafoe, and David Bowie were all considered for the role of Hades, but they originally casted John Lithgow in the role. It was later handed off to James Woods, who made Hades the wisecracking character that he is in the movie we see today. Hades wasn't originally supposed to be that way, but James Woods brought an energy to it that nobody could say no to, and so they let him ad-lib so many lines, and he really made the character Hades who Hades is. James Woods also says that Hades is his favorite role of all time. He told Disney that in any situation when they needed him to come back and voice Hades again for video games, for TV shows, for commercials, he said he would do the voice again, which is pretty unheard of in Hollywood. There are other very famous voice actors who worked on this movie. Susan Egan, who was the original Belle on Broadway, voices Megara. Charlton Heston is the narrator at the beginning of the movie. And in the Latin American version of the movie, Hercules is voiced by Ricky Martin. One of my favorite fun facts is that the Spice Girls were originally considered to play the Muses. It wasn't only the tone of Hercules that they wanted to make different from other Disney movies that had come out before, but it was the look overall. They wanted Hercules to look drastically different than anything they had ever made. So the very distinct look that we ended up with in Hercules is thanks to mostly a cartoonist named Gerald Scarfe, who Disney brought on as the production designer for Hercules. Scarfe had worked for The New Yorker and also with Pink Floyd on The Wall, and Disney really wanted him to come in and just create a very new, fresh look that they had never done before in a Disney movie. Additionally, Hercules' place within the Disney movie lineup is really significant because it's right smack dab in the middle of them experimenting with CGI animation for the first time. You can very clearly see a progression of them using CGI more and more throughout the 90s. In Hunchback of Notre Dame, a few elements are CGI, and then Hercules, more elements are CGI, and then Treasure Planet, and then Tarzan, and then you get fully animated with Meet the Robinsons. It just went little by little. But each and every movie was super important in them testing out new ways to use CGI. For example, all of the animators on Hercules said that the most difficult part of making the movie was animating the Hydra. The team behind the movie said that they felt confident that they could animate by hand 3 Hydra heads, and that they knew they could easily CGI 3 Hydra heads, but challenged themselves to do 30 or more. The sequence was so complicated that one frame of the Hydra took 6 to 14 hours to render. That's insane. So Hercules is yet another example of Disney Animation pushing their limits and seeing what new things could be done with CGI to make really compelling and interesting, fascinating stories. Despite its popularity with all of us, Hercules is a pretty underrated Disney movie, although I think a lot of people know the soundtrack. Before I go, I want to give you one more funny story that didn't really fit anywhere else in the episode, but that I thought was super interesting. You'll remember a scene in Hercules where Hades says, "2 thumbs way, way up," to Pain and Panic, and they actually used that clip in the trailers for Hercules. But it caused a huge issue with world-famous movie critics, Siskel and Ebert. When they saw these trailers airing, they claimed that the phrase 2 thumbs up was very uniquely them. They claimed that they made up that phrase, it was trademarked by them, that using it was insinuating that Siskel and Ebert have given the movie 2 thumbs up, which they hadn't. They had given it like meh reviews. So they found the whole thing pretty misleading, and so they asked Disney to take that clip out of the trailers, and Disney agreed. I just thought that was super interesting. As always, I'm interested to hear what you love about Hercules, and of course, leave in the comments which movie you would like me to cover next month on Down to Disness. And until then, go the distance. Love ya. See you next time. Today, we're playing Disney headbands because this one demanded that she appear on my YouTube channel.